Another kid's book? Welcome back to another edition of Drotalks Audiobooks. Dro here, and today we're going to be discussing book one of what I believe to be a trilogy, and that is Stanley Pargo in Suburbia, The Crooked House. This book is written by C.L. Clarke and narrated by Philip Bradley. This audiobook was given to me by the author C.L. Clarke, so a special thank you to C.L. Clarke for my honest review of what I think of this audiobook. So, without further ado, let's begin. The book starts with our boy Stanley, who's lost in the middle of the ocean, trapped inside a giant hat. He has no memory of how he got there, but luck comes to his rescue and he washes ashore of the shores of a crooked house, where he is met by a bird by the name of Wilfred. Remember that word, or I guess it would be better, remember that name. Wilfred takes him into the house where he meets a Professor Quibbly, who's a crooked man who lives inside this crooked house. And this book pretty much centers around Stanley exploring this house. Stanley is obsessed with getting back to a home that he does not remember or where it is, and his interactions with these two main characters. So it's really just three main characters in this book. It's Professor Quibbly, the butler Wilfred the bird, and Stanley Pargo. And the best parts of this book is their interactions, how Stanley comes to terms with his situation, with his predicament. And Stanley is a kid, so actually one of the worst parts of this book, but is very understandable, is Stanley himself. He's often throws temper tantrums, and which leads him into precarious situations, and it's normally Wilfred that comes and bails him out. Yep, Wilfred is the man. I guess Wilfred is the bird. So let me start off with the best part of this audiobook is hands down the narration. The narrator does a fantastic job of, even though it's just three characters, so it's kind of an easy task to do from a narration standpoint, he does a great job in differentiating these three characters, and the way he voices Wilfred is just fantastic. The second best part of this book is Wilfred. I mean, he is fantastic. Every time he comes into the scene, he absolutely steals it. He was my favorite part of this book. This is a kid's book, and at the very beginning, I was having a hard time getting into this book because it is aimed at a younger audience. So I took a road trip. I put this on with two of my youngest kids on there, and they absolutely loved it. With that said, there's a part in this book that I would say it's age appropriate, at least from my point of view, but it is intense and it is scary, and my kids did get kind of scared on that one part. But, you know, they made it through. It's not that bad. It's pretty light, but there's whispering involved, and it is kind of creepy. So I would suggest, as any responsible parent should do a quick 1-2 of this book yourself and make your own decision how you feel, what age appropriate this audiobook is. Again, every one of us has a different threshold on what is too scary. So yeah, be that responsible parent that I know you are. In the end, I would definitely recommend this book. Again, this is a great family book. Definitely something you can listen to with your kids. I would say age 8 and above. That's, of course, again, just my perspective. Do your own research. But it is a very good children's book. I enjoyed it. I already listened to the second book, so that review will be coming up shortly. And I actually liked the second book more than this one. But it's a little bit more, I would say there's a lot more characters involved, and the theme of the second book is a little bit more intriguing, at least in my point of view. But the second book could not be started without the first book. There's some magical elements in this book too that are just awesome, and I really like the way it was depicted. So yeah, this is definitely, for me, a definite recommend. So with that said, have you listened to Stanley Pargo in Suburbia, The Crooked House? So this has been Drotalks. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, ring that bell to get notified, and we'll see you next time.